It's great to pick up a book like The Tunnel, a book where every sentence is a work of art, a book with a level of insight and introspection that will make you reconsider your own life. But sometimes when you're reading a book like this, you start to wonder why it is that this level of writing so frequently has everything except a plot. This is going to be the first in two videos where I'm going to talk about times that authors wrote books that succeed both as great mystery and crime stories and as works of literature. And in this first video, I'm going to look at what happened when people who you think of as general fiction writers, award-winning writers, took on the crime genre. And if you're wondering, I'm not going to talk about Inherent Vice. That's only because I've talked about it so much before. It's one of my favorite books. People know I love this book. It's wonderful. If you think about Paul Auster, you probably think of books like Book of Illusions or 4321, sort of really introspective literary books. But one of the first books I ever read from him was this novella, really, called City of Glass. This is the first book in his New York trilogy, 3 mysteries set inside New York City. And it begins when a mystery story writer gets a freak call in the middle of the night. They're looking for a detective who is actually named Paul Auster to come protect a man. Now, this man is extremely broken, and he's broken because his own father did some really creepy experiments on him to try to determine the nature of language. In the very beginning of this book, Auster writes a paragraph about what makes the mystery genre so special. It says the world of the book comes to life, seething with possibilities, with secrets and contradictions. Since everything seen or said, even the slightest, most trivial thing, can bear a connection to the outcome of the story, nothing must be overlooked. Everything becomes essence. The center of the book shifts with each event that propels it forward. The center, then, is everywhere, and no circumference can be drawn until the book has come to its end. I think that's such a beautiful explanation of what makes crime and mystery stories so great. Everything just seems to matter a little bit more. And I don't think it's a huge spoiler to say that not everything at the end of this book is totally wrapped up. I think Auster is really saying there that by not wrapping up the book, he's letting you attach importance to everything that happened within it, sort of draw your own conclusions about what matters and what doesn't. Now, William Faulkner is one of the greats of American literature, and I believe that he wrote Sanctuary at a time when maybe he was having a hard time finding an audience for books like Sound and the Fury or Absalom, Absalom. He wanted to write a potboiler, and he wrote this story. It is the story of a debutante named Temple. And she and her alcoholic boyfriend, they're on their way to the big game. The boyfriend decides, hey, I gotta get some alcohol on the way there. He goes to a moonshiner's place, gets super drunk. Bad things happen to Temple. This is a story of crime and punishment, but it's also a story in which Faulkner dove into the same themes that you're going to find in a book like Absalom, Absalom, or maybe even like The Sound and the Fury. What does it mean to be a man? And this is not a theme that you're going to need a literary teacher to point out for you. It is very blatant. It is on the page. He asks this question over and over again. Toward the end of the book, there's a woman who expects a lawyer to ask her to pay for his services with some, say, special favors. When he says, no, I'm just doing this because it's the right thing to do. He looks at her in horror. Good God, he whispered, what kind of men have you known? And then just like 2 pages later, that same lawyer is talking to a criminal who is going to go down for a crime he didn't commit, but he's going to do it anyway. Because he knows that if he leaves jail, an even worse criminal, a really genuinely bad guy, is going to kill him. And this criminal can't believe that the lawyer doesn't understand this. Do you think for 1 minute that man's going to let me walk out of that door and up the street and into that courthouse after yesterday? What sort of men have you lived with all your life? In a nursery? So this is a book that very much wrestles with those themes that Faulkner wrestles with in all of his work. Even though he did write it because he wanted to write a book that would sell, it's still not a super easy book to get through. It's going to take you some time to figure out who the characters are, when they're meeting, and why. But it's definitely a great example of a literary author saying, you know what, I'm going to put a crime at the center of a novel and see what happens. And then last, Motherless Brooklyn by Jonathan Lethem. This is a book that people handed to me and said, Matt, we know you're going to love this book. And I liked it a lot. I mean, I liked most of Lethem's book, or Lethem, however you say it. I like his books in general. What's interesting about this, or the way that he approached the mystery genre, is the way he subverted the idea of what makes a good hero. In most of these books, you have that strong silent type. Or maybe you have someone like a Miss Marple or a Columbo who sort of, is unassuming. People don't understand, oh, this person is after me. They're going to solve the mystery. The private eye in this one, the guy who's out to avenge or solve the murder of his mentor, has Tourette's syndrome. And so he literally can't be silent. He can't fade into the woodwork and watch things happen. He's going to be shouting things at random intervals. And this gives you a little bit of comedy, but also a meta commentary on the type of people we expect to solve mysteries and the types of heroes that people tend to put at the center of books like these. So there you have it, actually four different books that if you're looking for a literary author, that level of amazing sentence-to-sentence writing, that level of insight into human nature, but you want something with a little bit of a plot to keep you going through the slow parts, those are four places to get started. Now, I am going to tag this video with the trailer for my own new mystery, Helena. It has a classic Agatha Christie sort of setup. So if that sort of thing appeals to you, stick around, check it out.